Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Ryan from Seaway Sports Lounge, and I'm hoping everyone's having a great weekend. This is another edition of Leafs Time Out, and we're going to be going over the Leafs versus the Jets. This is game 6 of their season. They're on the road. I'm going to go over basically what happened in the game. I'm going to go over the goals. There's some lineup changes. And then, of course, my takeaways for what I saw and what I thought about how the Leafs played. So, with that, let's just get right into it. So the Leafs and Jets played their first game, as I said. This was an anticipated contest because of what happened last year. Now, last year, the Maple Leafs and Jets were very rivalry like. They ended up playing a number of games, and I believe it even was back even into the COVID bubble time that these two teams really started to dislike each other. They were really playing hard. They ended up having a lot of fights, and there was like this video that went out that they were basically happy that they beat the Leafs, and they showed the video a number of times, which obviously built rivalry even more. So anyway, it continued to grow, and tonight's game was obviously a really big test and a really big hope that there would be a lot of fights and a lot of general action between the two teams, and there certainly was. The teams played great between each other. It was a lot of fun to watch. Now, the lineup changes the Leafs did. They did two. They ended up bringing in Wayne Simmonds and Kyle Clifford. With the Matt Murray injury, they were able to activate these guys and bring them in. They needed the toughness that they were looking for. Simmonds and Clifford certainly would be tough customers to deal with. And in the last few games, as we all watched, a number of Toronto stars had a lot of liberties taken on them, a lot of overall roughness against them. And I felt that they needed somebody to help protect them or at least keep an eye on things. And I think that's what Sheldon Keefe felt the same, which is why he brought these two guys in. I mean, Matthews himself alone was pretty much a target. Everybody with Dallas bringing these two guys in wouldn't hurt. And Winnipeg is a bigger team. They do like to throw their body around, lots of body checks, lots of hits. That's their style. So you do need players that can help defend against that and actually offer them back. So that's why these two guys, in my opinion, were brought in. As for the actual game, so at least won 4-1. They actually got outshot 28-31 by Winnipeg. They played a very good game overall. The goals quickly, I'm going to go over the scoring that happened. First period, Pierre-Luc Dubois got an early goal at 4:17. And then not long after that, John Tavares ended up getting his second goal of the year from Nylander and Matthews on the power play. It was a really nice goal. He ended up right in the net. It was awesome. Nice to watch, which tied her up 1-1. Now, second period, which was much more eventful, Sheldon Keefe actually felt that he needed more energy on his team. So he ended up putting his fourth line on. Anyway, in the face-off in the offensive zone, anyway, ended up paying off because David Camp scored his second from Simmonds and Clifford. So even the fourth line jumped in on the scoring, which is great to watch. That's good coaching. That's what you should do. And then a little later, about 4 minutes later, on another power play, Sandin passed it to Matthews, and he put a point shot right on the net. And then Tavares had a perfect tip in, and he basically put it right by Connor Hellebuck. And it was just a really nice goal. It actually looked really good, and Tavares really was happy with that one. Anyway, put them up 3-1. Going into the third period, it wasn't too much scoring, lots of chances, of course, lots of play in general. But near the end of the game, they pulled their goaltender, and then Michael Bunting ended up getting a pass from Marner and Matthews. Well, Marner sneaked the puck up along the boards. Good on Michael Bunting. He sealed their fate. 4-1 was the final. Interesting takes from this game. First of all, as we thought earlier, there'd be fighting. There'd be a lot of rough play. And in the second period, there was certainly no shortage of that. You could tell the temperature was rising between the two teams. There was a lot of fists getting shoved in their faces. People were starting to body check a lot harder. Anyway, as Nick Robertson had the puck, he was coming out of his end. Josh Morrissey ended up hitting him square right on and knocked him flat. Now, he didn't knock him out or injure him, but he knocked him pretty good. Anyway, so TJ Brody, Morgan Riley ended up jumping into the fray, and actually Morgan Riley fought Josh Morrissey head on, started to defend his player because, I mean, the hit was quite heavy. TJ Brody was messing with Appleton. So, I mean, it was an interesting sequence. Didn't expect that to happen, but it did. And good on Morgan Riley for defending the young player. I mean, he did have his head down a little bit, in my opinion, but anyway, he didn't have any worse for wear, didn't have any major injuries, but at least the defensive guys defended their team and defended their teammate. And that's what something I said in previous videos. I found the Maple Leafs were not that intense team that was defending rough hits and rough plays. So it was good to see. A little later, Rasmus Sandin also laid his own hit against a Winnipeg player. I forget who it was. Anyway, it was a pretty dangerous hit, in my opinion. He should have been a little more careful. He did hit him from behind, and his head hit the boards. Anyway, that also produced another round of fist fights and, general scrum that happened in behind the goaltender. Anyway, there's obviously a few penalties that came out of it. It's just good to see that there is kind of urgency to protect each other and get into making sure that players are not going unresponsive for things that shouldn't happen. Winnipeg, in that case, did their own, and that's fair. So both teams had their own defense of their own players. So that's good. Now, takeaways from this game. This was by far, in my opinion, the most complete game by the Maple Leafs. They played an amazing overall game. They were in it completely. All lines contributed in a variety of ways, whether it was shot blocks, goals, general play, defensive play. Just everybody did their job and the team played well overall. There was no issues of laziness, there was a lack of effort. Toronto was prepared for this game. They knew what they were getting into and they absolutely did their jobs. And it was just a nice, entertaining game to watch. It was very fast paced. Lots of scoring attempts. Both teams were both high danger chances. They were actually some point blank shots. I mean, John Tavares hit the goal post, crossbar, I believe. I mean, it was just overall a really good game to watch. I'm really happy that maybe, I mean, just maybe, the Maple Leafs have turned a corner here and they can actually start preparing their games more like tonight and actually play better. I think this game was better suited for them. Winnipeg plays a similar style, which is a more open style with lots of gaps in between blue line and center ice area where lots of transition can happen. And the Leafs took full advantage of that. They were moving all around the ice pretty quick without any major pushback. So it was overall a really good thing. And I'm happy that this happened. Now, here's the interesting thing. If I had to award first star, I'm thinking Samsonov was the number one guy. He played an amazing game. He was the number one star to me. And after his quick goal at the beginning in the first, I mean, it looked a little like Toronto could, be going back to the same style. They get scored on first, and then they're going to go back into that lazy play. That didn't happen. This guy kept them going. By far, he's the number one goaltender. He should stay as number one goaltender for as long as possible, if not throughout the year, if his numbers continue to show. He's 4-0-0 right now. He's got an over a 925 save percentage. He's out there and he's playing really well. So you know what? I think he's the first star, and I think he should be the number one for a very long time so far. But again, it's only been 4 games that he's played. So anyway, so with that, I think that we'll end the video here. I want to say thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and got some value out of it. If you like what we're doing with our content, please hit like or subscribe. And with that, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good night.